Sri Lankan authorities have announced that the final agreement has been reached on debt restructuring between Sri Lanka and the Official Creditor Committee on the sidelines of the Paris Forum 2024 in Paris, France. The President's Media Division said Sri Lanka reached a final restructuring agreement for $5.8 billion of debt with its bilateral leaders' Official Creditor Committee. It added that this grants significant debt relief, allowing Sri Lanka to allocate funds to essential public services and secure concessional financing for development needs.
It's a great privilege for all of us as Sri Lankans to be here, and I think as a Sri Lankan it's going to be a milestone achievement for Sri Lanka to go forward in our recovery process as well as moving towards growth. So in doing so, to resolve our debt crisis, we appreciate all the leadership and the support extended to us by the OCC, co-chaired by Japan, India and France, and also the support extended to us by the Chinese Exim Bank to resolve our crisis, and of course the support extended by the IMF and the World Bank. So as Sri Lanka, we remain committed to continue our reform program, and I'm very confident with this achievement we will foster growth, and also we will have more confidence in our economy. So this particular date was looking forward by all Sri Lankans. So from today, I think we could progress with the other activities. We can see the economy is bouncing back strongly. We have recorded a 5.1% growth in the first quarter of 2024, and this was as a result of a concerted effort by the international partners and the authorities of Sri Lanka. And I must also highlight the fact the leadership extended by His Excellency the President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The government will remain committed, and I must extend our sincere gratitude to the OCC Secretariat as well as the Paris Club Secretariat for all the assistance. Thank you very much, and we will continue all the hard work what we have been doing and proceed with the reform agenda. Thank you.
Sri Lanka signed debt treatment agreements in Beijing with China Exim Bank to restructure $4.2 billion of debt today. The President's Media Division said that the framework agreement related to this was signed between Sri Lanka and China in Colombo, Sri Lanka. It added that this restructuring provides significant debt relief, allowing Sri Lanka to allocate more funds to essential public services and resume concessional financing for critical infrastructure development.
What is external debt? Sri Lanka acquires foreign debt through several methods. One method is bilateral borrowing, which involves obtaining loans from another country. Another method is multilateral borrowing, where loans are obtained from various international organizations and institutions such as the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank. Additionally, Sri Lanka borrows from the open market, which can be divided into two categories: international sovereign bonds and term financial facilities. When taking on these loans, the government guarantees repayment, which is why they are considered sovereign debt. On the 13th of April 2022, Sri Lanka announced a temporary suspension of repayments on bilateral and commercial loans taken from the open market. This decision affected approximately 70% of the country's total foreign debt. However, Sri Lanka continued to repay multilateral loans from organizations such as the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank. What is debt restructuring? Debt restructuring involves creating the ability to repay outstanding debt. This process includes negotiating terms for debt repayment. Three methods were followed in this process in relation to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka sought the services of international advisory firms Clifford Chance and Lazard to negotiate bilateral debt. These firms initiated discussions with the Paris Club, a major organization representing bilateral creditors and countries not part of the Paris Club. A significant step in this process was forming the Official Creditor Committee, co-chaired by India, France and Japan. However, China, Sri Lanka's largest bilateral creditor, did not participate in this process, necessitating separate negotiations. Currently, these discussions have reached a final stage. According to the latest report from the Ministry of Finance, Sri Lanka's total bilateral debt amounts to approximately $10.8 billion, of which $5.8 billion is to be restructured under the Official Creditor Committee's agreement. The Export-Import Bank of China has also agreed to restructure nearly $4 billion, but a final agreement has not yet been reached. The specifics of the debt relief, such as whether any debt amount will be written off, interest rates reduced, repayment periods extended, another loan to service existing loans, or combination of these measures will be known in due course. What happens to commercial debt? Sri Lanka has borrowed nearly $12 billion through sovereign bonds and other commercial loans. Formal negotiations between Sri Lankan authorities and international private creditors on over $12 billion in bonds are set to resume imminently after a group of bondholders signed non-disclosure agreements late last week. The Bondholders Committee said its negotiating committee included Amundi Asset Management, BlackRock and its subsidiaries, Eaton Baines Management, Grantham Mayo Ban Otalu & Co., GMO LLC, HBK Capital Management, Morgan Stanley Investment Management, Neuberger Berman, T. Rowe Prince Associates Incorporated, and Wellington Management. Clifford Chance and Lazard are also representing Sri Lanka in these discussions. Sri Lanka in April rejected an initial bondholder proposal, citing some of its baseline assessments and a lack of a contingency option in the case of continued economic weakness as two main reasons for not reaching a deal. Several proposals for debt restructuring have been presented, but no final agreement has been reported yet. Non-disclosure agreements are in place, but it is expected that a final agreement will be reached soon, which will clarify the relief measures for the nearly $12 billion in commercial debt.